Okay, so ratings. What would you give Sentimental Value out of 10?
If you asked me this question for 80% of this movie, I would have said maybe a 4 out of 10 that this film was boring me out of my mind. Now I'll give it a strong 7. I think that ending is such a master stroke that it really elevates the film for me.
Yeah, so as you can tell, this movie really moved me emotionally. Um, I really hated the first 1 hour 50 minutes though. When I did the rewatch for the first 50 minutes or so, I was like, so they've wasted my time again. Then I was right this whole time that this is just a film in a film movie, and that's the reason why the film bros love it. But as I mentioned, that scene between the sisters, it was such a strong redemption. So for me, I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. It's one of my favorites from the film festival now.
Same, same. I think also like across the board there's no bad acting in this film, so I
Yeah.
also just want to note that. And I think it's a well directed film in that I feel like the filmmaker, he had an intention with what he was trying to do, and for the most part he got it out of his actors even though it dragged
Hmm.
on too long.
Hmm.
The film is written by a man and a woman, and I can feel a woman's touch in the
Yeah.
writing,
Hmm.
so I also wanted to note that.
So I really enjoyed the soundtrack for this movie. It's actually something I've started listening to on Spotify.
Oh my
And
god, you're a
because,
stan.
yeah, well, I wouldn't go that far. I noticed that the soundtrack's very black, and that's probably why I actually loved a lot of the music throughout the film. I don't know why that was the choice, but it was interesting. And then the final thing I have to say is that I'm very jealous of the Swedish and the Norwegian speakers because I know this movie was doing some cool things with the language, but I just don't have the skills to pick up on it. So I would love to see someone who speaks the languages explain what was really going on there when they were switching between languages because I do know a tiny bit of Norwegian, like literally how to say hello in Norwegian and Swedish because of travel and stuff. And I noticed that they were switching between the languages, but I couldn't figure out the logic behind why that was happening. I would love to know more.
Language is such a good point because again, as I was watching this film, I kept on thinking about how elements of it reminded me of my father's shadow. And there's so much of my father's shadow that hits me extra hard because I understand the nuances of everything they're saying when they're speaking Yoruba and Nigerian pidgin English that I think is lost in the subtitles. And I kept on thinking, I know things are going over my head in the subtitles in how the father and the daughters
Yeah,
are communicating to each other, especially because, um, right, if I'm not mistaken, Stellan Skarsgård, who is Swedish, he's speaking Norwegian in the movie, but his character is supposed to be like a Swedish Norwegian man or something
yeah.
like that. So like, and there's commentary about like even the accents that they're using and the regionality and the switch. So I know the language switching and the accent use is very important, but unfortunately, I can't catch that. And I know there are people that are going to appreciate this movie at a higher level of depth than we can. I agree.
There's does sentimental value pass the Bechdel test?
With flying colors, I'm not even sure if it passes
The
the
reverse.
equivalent of a Bechdel test for men, but it
Yeah.
definitely passes for women. We have many, 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 many scenes of Nora and Agnes speaking about their childhood, their life experiences, motherhood, their careers, supporting each other, the times when they weren't able to support each other. I believe we also see Elle Fanning's character, Rachel, interacting directly with Ingrid, who is another actress that is in the film, and they're talking about like getting accents right and stuff like that. So yeah, film passes the Bechdel test with flying colors. So while Stellan Skarsgård is my favorite performer in this film, and I genuinely am actively rooting for him this award season, and I think for his performance, I really want to highlight Inga Lilias, who plays Agnes,
Hmm.
who is the more quote unquote responsible sister, the more traditional sister. I found her performance kind of very heartbreaking sometimes. And for that, beginning of that emotional whammy of an ending arc to really work, of course, Renate Rains has to do a great job as Nora to understand that, oh, she has been parentified. But I think kind of the mixture of the guilt and the care and the love and the regret that Inga has to present as Agnes when you're finding out those scenes are so important, and she does it so beautifully. Like that was part of the reason I became so overwhelmed with emotion. So I think she's actually probably my favorite female performance in the film. I
Mm.
also thought Elle Fanning as Rachel, I actually really enjoyed what she did in the film towards the end as well. Generally, I'm a big fan of all the acting in this movie.